Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante, new and improved with more Bitcoin. That's a great way to donate to our show right there. That is an on-chain Bitcoin address if you like to support what we're doing. But some of you, if you prefer Lightning, I will put a Lightning address up there. So we are following what is happening in the Bitcoin space on a daily, weekly, and yearly basis because in the short run, there's going to be a lot of kind of games played, shall we say, by the people in the fiat world. From the jump on this show, I've talked about the corrupt, kleptocracy that is the United States of America. America is not a representative democracy. It is a kleptocracy run by oligarchs. And those oligarchs are the big banks, the central banks, and they fund the wars. They fund the oil machine. Their whole power base is through the US dollar, and which is part of that is the petrodollar. And they use it to exert their power through the media, through the courts, through whatever. They run everything. They control everything. They do price gouging. They do whatever. So Bitcoin is clearly a threat to them. And that's why they're trying to regulate it as much as possible. Some of the regulation, the regulation of the crypto, of the altcoins, I think there needs to be some because there's a lot of corruption in there. Basically just buying Bitcoin and owning it, holding it, hodling it, keeping it on a cold wallet. There's nothing corrupt about that. There's nothing in there needs to be regulated. These crypto exchanges that run all these unregulated securities and scams that try to really trick people out of money, we're heading into another bull run. So a lot of new people are going to come into the Bitcoin space. And rather than just buy Bitcoin and hold it, they're going to get caught up in some staking scheme, crypto. I fell for it 4 or 5 years ago. I fell for it, and you buy Bitcoin, you think Bitcoin's great, but then you're like, all of these exchanges have all of these NFT, meme coin, blah, blah, blah. They have all this crazy crap and they pay these high interest rates. And I mean, I put stuff into BlockFi because BlockFi was paying interest. It was doing staking. BlockFi also had a credit card, which I ran my expenses through it and it would pay you 1.5% in Bitcoin. Now that was fine. I don't see a scam there. That's just like a rewards credit card, only why not get your rewards in Bitcoin? I don't encourage anybody to rack up unsecured debt at all, but just run your expenses that you normally would pay through a credit card like that to get the rewards. Great. And I made a little money off of, I made some Bitcoin, but then they also offered staking. Keep your Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever on their exchange and you'll get interest. You'll get rewards. Oof. It was when I had Max Kaiser and Stacey Herbert on this show 3 years ago, April of 2021, I believe, or May of 2021, when they're like, don't do that. It's a scam. Don't fall for it. You could lose your money. It could all be shut down. And then you lose your Bitcoin and the interest you could make isn't worth it. Just cold storage it. And I was like, oh my God. So I started slowly pulling it off of it. And then the FTX thing happened a year later, little over 16 months later. And BlockFi had done business with FTX, so they gambled. So some of that, you could make an argument, there needs to be some type of regulation within there. But again, the regulation is going to come from the SEC or people like Liz Warren that are ultimately corrupt. And I don't think the bulk of the crypto regulation is coming from a good place. It's not coming from a space of like, hey, let's protect the consumer. It's coming from we want to get everybody into the central banking digital currencies, the CBDCs, which that's dangerous. I don't like the CBDCs at all. Then they can track all of our movements. And then it's like, oh, you're an activist? Were you out there protesting to end a genocide? Oh, we're going to freeze your bank accounts. I mean, look what they did when those truckers in Canada were protesting. And whether you agree with those truckers or not, they just shut down their money. They shut down anybody that was like donating to them. That's crazy. And again, this is why get your Bitcoin off the exchanges and get it onto a cold wallet. So let's look at so the Bitcoin price is since the halving is actually there's been a little bit of a pullback. And last week it was in like the 55, 53, 54, 55,000 range. Early on, late last night and early this morning, Bitcoin got to 65,000, and then they announced this news and the price gets pulled back. So some of these, I'm always like, anytime something like this is announced and the price comes back, I'm like, is this a deliberate price manipulation? Which again, you can manipulate Bitcoin in the short term. In the long term, it just keeps going up. There's nothing you can do about it, right? There's nothing you can do about it. But let's read what this is off of CoinDesk. Bitcoin slips to 63,000 as crypto market faces more U.S. regulatory pressure. Despite the recent bounce, the correction isn't over, and one technical analyst expecting Bitcoin to fall to the low mid 50s area before rallying to new all-time highs. Digital assets performed mixed, with Bitcoin sinking 1.5%, while Solana, XRP gaining most among crypto majors. Ugh. This is why I don't like the altcoins. They're all sneaky. Robinhood disclosed its crypto arm received warning from the SEC that could foreshadow enforcement action. So let's read that. The crypto rally paused on Monday during the U.S. trading hours, with Bitcoin slipping back to near 63,300 as U.S. regulators ratcheted up pressure on crypto companies. A move to above 65,000 early Monday quickly reversed, and prices were pressured further after popular brokerage Robinhood disclosed its crypto arm received a Wells notice over the weekend from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, a move that often foreshadows an enforcement action against a company. The pullback has been shallow, though, with most crypto assets firmly above last week's low. Bitcoin declined 1.5 over the last 24 hours, but was still up over Wednesday, right? Alternative cryptocurrencies performed mixed, with Ethereum, Doge, and Shiba Inu. God, so scammy. While Solana and Ripple adjacent XRP showed relative strength, advancing to 4 to 6%. Despite the halt in the rally, crypto hedge fund QCP Capital observed renewed demand for Bitcoin call options for September, with a strike price of 75,000 and 100,000, underscoring the increased optimism that Bitcoin will climb to higher prices over the next few months. We are seeing some bullish follow through in volatility and funding rates following the reversal bounce on Friday. So let's just talk about this real quick. Call options with strike prices of 75 and 100,000. What that means in basic terms is people who hold these Bitcoin ETFs. And we've talked about the ETFs. Ultimately, I don't think the ETFs are good. I don't like companies like BlackRock and what they're doing. But as has been said by other people, they're useful idiots. Max Kaiser said on this show that they're useful idiots. So they are going to bring a lot of money into the Bitcoin space, which will, in the long run, drive it up. But the ETF holders are not Bitcoiners. They're not long-term hodlers like I am and many of you are. They're speculators. They want to buy Bitcoin at 60,000 and sell it at 75 or whatever, which will bring short-term volatility, but the long run, it'll just keep going up. But what that is saying is that these people have sell options of 75,000 and 100,000, meaning they think that you can put that in on a lot of trading sites that you can get either a alert when it hits a certain price, or you could just put in a sell order that the minute it hits a certain price, it will sell this amount of your Bitcoin. You can do that with stocks or whatever. So ultimately that's a bullish signal, and as more money comes into it, and again, the last 3 halvings in the year, the 12 months following the halving, the price last halving went up 8x, before that 10, before that 20x. So when there's just less Bitcoin being mined, it is a built-in scarcity by whomever the person or persons were that created Bitcoin. Satoshi Nakamoto. Sorry, I say Nakamura. So ultimately, that's a good thing. But this little scare tactic by the SEC, gets investors, the short-term speculators scared. Oh, I got to sell it or whatever. It's going to be bad. It's going to go to zero. But what is increasingly different about Bitcoin, and this is something that people like, I think Paul Tudor Jones realized, is they saw that there's this huge percentage of Bitcoin investors that hold it and don't sell it. And I'm one of those people. And Michael Saylor is the one screaming that from the mountaintops, don't sell your Bitcoin. He says that over and over and over again. Let's get back to the article. So also, Hong Kong ETF rumors, perhaps fueling the quick recovery from last week's lows, were rumors about broadening access to the newly listed Hong Kong spot Bitcoin and other ETFs for Chinese investors. We talked about that on the show last week, which is significant because what Hong Kong, it would open up the gateway to a lot of Bitcoin investors in China. And China has tried to regulate Bitcoin a bunch, or close it, shut it down, not allow it. But this would then, and people have gotten around it using VPNs and all that, but this would open it up significantly. Richard Byworth, managing partner of CZZ Capital, I don't know how you say that, said in an X post that there's talk in Hong Kong about adding the crypto products to the so-called Stock Connect facility, which would allow qualified mainland Chinese investors to access eligible shares listed in Hong Kong. This is from Simply Bitcoin. China AMC ETF in Hong Kong took in 121 million in its first trading day. So this is from May 1st last week. I just got back from Hong Kong. There's talk that the ETF could be added to the Stock Connect. The implications for this are absolutely enormous. Basically means mainland money can buy it. So that is significant because mainland China with 1.5 billion people can't come buy it. So they have to go around it. So the people, when there's a regulation in place where you can't buy it, some people will do it, but it'll thwart the majority of the people. So if you open that up, then that money is going to come pouring in, which is a good sign. Now, Bitcoin ended last week on a bullish tone, recovering swiftly from its pullback. John Glover, chief investment officer at crypto lender Lendin, said there's still possibility for a breakdown to lower prices before ending its correction from March's all-time high of 73,000. Although the dip to 56.5 may have complicated the correction, I still expect to see a price of 52 to 55,000 before wave 4 completes. The theory alleges the price trends develop in 5 stages, of which waves 1, 3, and 5 are impulse waves representing the main trend, while waves 2 and 4 are retractments between the impulse price and action. Once the corrective wave is completed, I expect that the wave 5 push to circa 93,000 will ensue, he concluded. Interesting. He thinks it'll go to 92,000. If you buy Bitcoin and hold it for a minimum of 5 years, you'll make money. So when I was telling people to buy the dip a year ago, 2 years ago, year and a half ago, when it was at 16,000, when it was at 19,000, when it was at 30,000, you'd be making money. But the bigger issue is that eventually everything collapses against Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin will become the world reserve currency. And this isn't just me, some crazy Batman YouTuber saying this. This is people like Michael Saylor saying this. They understand it. They get what it is. They know. Max Kaiser gets this. He's gotten it for a long time. And so when people like Paul Tudor Jones and Michael Saylor come in, then those are big institutional investment money players saying this thing is for real. Those are the people I listen to. Support what we're doing here, you guys. Like, share, subscribe. Go to grahamelwood.com. Sign up for my newsletter. You get a free vegan smoothie recipe. And I'm going to be putting together some tour dates over the summer. And we're also working on a lot of very cool things. Game shows, movies, TV shows. A lot of stuff is in the works here and in El Salvador. So keep watching, like, share, subscribe, follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth, stack sats, and shave your knuckles for justice. Boom.